Hey guys, so I just got done watching the movie An Interview with God with Brenton Thwaites and David Strathairn, I believe it's pronounced. And this was an excellent movie. I highly recommend it. You really have to go watch this. Um, Going into this movie, I didn't know what to think. Presumably, we have a guy interviewing God, so what version of God is this going to be? What idea of God is this going to be? Is this going to be a New Age God? Is this going to be the Christian God? Is this going to be a postmodern God? Is this going to be a Jewish God? So we wonder, okay, whose perception of God are we talking about here? What what is this movie going to entail? There's a lot of different directions this can go, especially being a movie with such big name actors. So I said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna bite. I'm gonna watch this movie and see what it's gonna be about. And I was not disappointed. This has got to be one of the best movies I've seen in a very, very long time. And this was one of those movies where um, typically when I watch Netflix, I'm opening up my computer, I'm on my phone, I'm texting, I'm messaging, maybe I'm writing, and then I got the movie kind of playing. I'm like, eh. And that's what I do with most movies. This movie, my phone was down, my computer was in another room. I wasn't missing. I was watching this movie and I was intent on this movie. This was amazing. Now, I don't want to ruin too much of what happened, but within the first few minutes, you find out okay, Brenton Thwaites' character is interviewing David Strathairn's character, who claims to be God. And I hope I'm not repeating myself too much here, but that's something you find out within the first few minutes. It's kind of like, okay, I'm interviewing some guy who claims to be God. But of course, a movie that opens the question, being a movie of, is this really God, or is this some crazy guy? But the movie didn't stop there. Now I'm not going to ruin too much. But there was one line at one point where Brenton Thwaites' character asks, "Who are you?" And he asks, "Are you the father of lies?" So there's a lot of question here as to whether David Strathairn's character is God or not, and the movie really leaves you asking that question. I'm not going to ruin the end. I'm not going to ruin any of the twists and turns that happen during the course of this movie. What I will speak to is the writing ability and the directing of this movie. This was phenomenally well done. Now, I don't know where the writer begins, where the writer ends and the director begins, um, because I have no way of knowing that without doing a ton of background research. And like I said, this is a movie I just finished watching, so I haven't really had a lot of time to do that, though I plan to, because this was such an excellent movie. Um, with regards to the writing, what I can speak to is this was phenomenally well done. I know good writing when I see it. I'm not a perfect writer. I don't think I'm going to win any awards anytime soon. However, I have been trained with writing. I did my concentration in writing while I was in college. And I've been trained by professional authors and coached by professional authors since 2012, and this is 2019 now. So I've gotten a lot of feedback, a lot of expert input. I know good writing when I see it, and this was phenomenal writing, and I know why it was phenomenal. The people who did this, they have an excellent mastery of the use of conflict. Nothing in this movie was preachy. Nothing in this movie was a sermon. Um, I guess I'll have a slight ruining it in saying that at no point does one do any of the characters end up going to church or synagogue or anything like that and sitting down and hearing a sermon. Um, when that happens in movies, sometimes it's done right. You'll hear a lecture or a sermon or something like that, and the character catches the last 5 minutes of it or so. That was not done in this movie. Though it's a technique I've seen done well, it was not used here. This was an excellent movie through and through, and I highly recommend it. Not much else I can say. Brenton Thwaites' character, I am definitely a fan of his. He's a very good actor. I'm very much a fan of what he does. He also played in the movie The Giver, and I believe that he was actually born in 1989, which is the same year that I was born, and I'm going to double check that right now, so I hope you guys don't mind. Yep, born August 10th, 1989, age 29 years, So I was born January 2nd, 1989, so we are about the same age, even though he tends to look very young and he usually plays younger characters in movies. Um, I think he's playing in Titans, which is the live action version of Teen Titans. He's playing Robin in that, and I haven't gotten to see that yet. But with this particular character was a much older role and a much more mature character than what I've seen him play before. In this movie, he's a grown man who's married, and he plays a character who's about the age that he is in real life. And so I thought that was really neat to see this very talented actor play a character who wasn't just like eye candy. He's been in at least one romantic movie, and I haven't seen that. And with that one, of course, it's kind of obvious because he looks so good. But also he'll tend to play very young characters, and that's who are much younger than what he is in real life. More than 10 years or more. And of course that happens in a lot of movies. I believe that one of the Spider-Man actors was 30 years old playing a 16-year-old. But in this movie, he was much older. He did the facial hair, and the character was convincing on his own merits. This wasn't a, hey, we have a big name actor and he's playing a character, or here's a very nice looking actor who's playing a particular character. It was just an actor doing a very good role and playing a character that, as a human being, as a human man, I could relate to. And that was something that was key to the movie, is that this was a man, presumably, at least from the start, interviewing God, or interviewing somebody who claims to be God. And so a lot of the questions about the nature of reality, about God, about why the universe is the way it is, were really explored, and you really felt for the character, and you really it was really easy to see yourself in his shoes. So he became very much somebody that I think every man in the world could relate to, especially relating to that when we're at a vulnerable time in our life. And honestly, that's partly where I'm at now, is I'm at a time in my life that's not fun. I'm going through some rough things right now, and I mean, not the worst things I've ever gone through. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I'm looking for work. I'm a little concerned about my financial future, things like that. But it was a character that was going through real issues that we all go through. This wasn't somebody who's going out there to fight a dragon. This wasn't somebody who's called by God to throw the One Ring in the fire. This was a very real, very down-to-earth character. And granted, this is speculative fiction, but it was done on a level where it really hit home and really hit real life. And it didn't do so in a way that sometimes you see that on TV, and it kind of rubs the wound the wrong way. It kind of pushes on a nerve. I don't know what the phrase would be, but sometimes movies like that you have a wound, and it pushes on that wound, and it pushes on it in a way that is not okay, and it hurts, and it isn't helping. This movie was really good in that it addressed a lot of those things in a way that was extremely well done, and in a way that didn't make you feel like it was unfair how they were addressing the issues. It didn't seem too heavy, it didn't seem overdone, yet it was done in a way where again, you're really relating to the actor, and you really feel like you're almost the person interviewing this character who claims to be God. So, or at least that's how I felt. So this was like I said, this was an excellent movie. I highly recommend everybody take a look at it. It's on Netflix right now. So once this video is finished, go watch it. So be sure to subscribe, rate, subscribe to my channel hit the little bell and rate this video, but then the very next thing you should do is turn Netflix on your TV. So I hope you guys liked this video review. This is Greg